Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in Sonar X2, getting ready to process those sounds that I recorded. Now, I described different sources of getting sound effects through either Foley work or creating the sound yourself or sound libraries and such. And I showed you a little clip on how I went about recording those sounds. Now, the one thing that I have not described yet is how Foley got its name. Now, obviously, something like that comes from the name of the person that created it. And in this case, the person's name is Jack Donovan Foley. He worked for Universal Studios for a little while during silent films, back when silent films were a thing. And a competitor film company started putting sounds into their films. So Universal Studios brought on all of their studio workers to start working on putting sounds into films. And at the time, microphones could only really capture dialogue while on stage. And when it could capture things other than dialogue, it was probably capturing everything, including unwanted sounds. And since sound editing back then was not nearly as precise as it is nowadays, they needed a method of replacing the audio they didn't want with the audio that they did want. And Foley created that method by going through exactly the examples that I told you through before, having a line of people with different props, with the film playing in the background, and basically acting out all the parts and creating all of the necessary sounds and recording them in perfect time to the film. So, that is how Foley got its name. Jack Donovan Foley. So now, we are going to go through these sounds and we are going to process them. So, when you record your sounds, you want to record a large number of different sounds. And you're going to see here, I've got a lot of different sounds recorded. So, from here, I've got getting up from my chair, getting back into my chair, walking up and down stairs, walking on the floor in the bathroom because I wasn't sure if I was going to want those footsteps or the footsteps for walking in the kitchen, opening and closing a door, and then I've got my original attempt at footsteps, which is using the wooden stone blocks, which I obviously didn't use, and then I've got my actual footsteps. And then I've got my various car noises between the car door and the car motor. So what we need to do is we need to go through each of these sounds. I've already gone through and removed everything before and after each sound that wasn't going to be useful. So everything that was extra between my talking as well as any other extraneous sounds before or after the sound effect. But everything during is still there. So let's go through and one sound at a time and figure out what it is that we can use and what it is that we need to get rid of. So those were the sounds of me getting up and getting down. Now, I listened to these before, and I think I'm going to end up just using the getting up and getting down sounds from the original video. So those are probably not going to be used, but just in case, I will show you how to process these anyways. Moving on to the next sound. Now, I didn't end up putting that sound in at all because it would have made the sequence too long, and I just needed something short to give you guys an example as well as be a little bit humorous. Alright, that was walking in the bathroom. Now you'll notice between these two clips, there was a difference in background sound. There was this kind of a sound in this first clip that wasn't in the second clip. My house is quite literally right on top of a highway, so a lot of big trucks and lots of cars tend to go by, and those sounds kind of punch through the house pretty well. So I will show you how to get rid of most of that background sound in the hopes of being able to utilize this sound for something. Hear that? More cars. These are my footsteps. My original attempt. I'll show you how to try and process these to sound good, but I obviously didn't use these. And these are my actual footsteps, and that worked out very well. And then car noises. That's my lovebird in the background. All right. So to start with, I'm not going to be using the walking up and down stairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to archive that, and that's going to just be silent from then on. Now I need to decide what sounds better. I'm going to go for the easier sounds to start with. I'll go back to the chair in a bit because that's probably not going to matter. And let's start with the walking in the bathroom and the walking in the kitchen sounds. This is the sound of me walking out of and into the house, but not outside. And I could, now, in reality, my room is actually carpet, so you wouldn't have heard anything if I were to be walking, but that would have made for a not very interesting sound sequence. So instead, I replaced it with something more solid that has a more pronounced sound that'll give you the thought, like the picture in your mind of my walking away and walking closer. Otherwise, you don't really know what's going on. So let's figure out which of these two sets would be better. Alright, so between the two sounds, it sounds like the kitchen would be better, because in the bathroom sounds there's the creaking of a floor, and although that could be useful, it would probably overall sound more effective to just have straight up clicking of shoes on a floor. So for now, let's archive that. So let's go through this and process it. What needs to happen is we need to normalize these. And what that means is boosting the volume a little bit. All right. All right. That should be plenty loud enough. So what we need to do is the number one thing you're going to want is an equalizer. I could use this equalizer here, but it's only 4 bands, and I actually have something a little bit more useful. Two EQ Pro. This was like $5 or $10 on their website when I got it. I don't know what it is now, but back when I got it, it was very inexpensive. So this is a multiband equalizer that also has an analyzer attached. And what that means is if I were to play, alright, so the footsteps all take up somewhere like right here in the frequency range. So what we want is let's go listen to that again. I'm probably gonna put a point like right there and another one right there. So let's take this. Now, a lot of the background noise is a little bit on the higher frequency range. So let's just see what it sounds like cutting most of the highs out. All right. So, actually, low pass filter. There we go. Now, obviously, I was a little bit incorrect about the frequency ranges because I figured that a lot of that was going to be in the highs, the high frequency range, which I was partially correct. Now, obviously, I'm going to pause for a second here. Obviously, it benefits to have a lot of ear training for something like this. And I have had ear training, as in I took a whole ear training class when I was at Berkeley. However, it is something that requires a lot of practice. And practice is not something that I've actually had. But I'll be picking up a bit of software that is meant to help you practice ear training. So I will be able to get a lot better at that. And I will actually show that to you when I finally get it. However, because I'm planning on getting that, there is something else useful for this that I did not get. And something else that you would benefit from for work like this is a noise reduction software. That's what it is. Noise reduction software. I can't remember what it's called, but it basically allows you to like literally take specific frequencies and notch them away. So if there's like the sound of an air conditioner or a couple other sounds, you could take like very thin frequency slices and remove those sounds. Now, I could potentially do that using isotope iris right now if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to, because first, that would be very hard. The frequencies aren't actually labeled in iris, and on top of that, not everybody has that. So I'm going to stick with this for now. So let's move this up. Alright. Let's... Hey. There we go. Alright, let's just see what that sounds like. Turn that off.